You are sitting in front of a blank screen that has been open for an embarrassing amount of time. You have typed your name. You have typed a title. You have opened a new tab to check something very urgent that was not actually urgent. Now you are staring at the blinking cursor, thinking a familiar thought. Maybe I am just lazy. Welcome back to Simply Chaos, the channel for people who were told they were gifted as children and are now exhausted adults who need 12 hours to send one email. Today, we are talking about the former gifted kid syndrome, also known as why doing anything slightly difficult makes you want to fake your own disappearance. Let us rewind. As a kid, you were that person. You finished worksheets early. You read faster than other kids. Teachers said scary sentences like, "This child is so bright," or "You are wise beyond your years." Maybe you were good at exams without really studying. Maybe you wrote one short story, and every adult decided you were the next great author of the century. And here is the important part. You did not just hear you did well. You heard you are smart. You are special. You are different. No one sat you down and explained that talent is just a starter pack and that everyone eventually has to learn how to be bad at something for a long time. The world just clapped every time you breathed near a workbook and said, "Wow, you did that with no effort at all." So your little brain did what little brains always do. It made a rule. If I am smart, things should be easy. Fast forward. You grow up and the world stops handing out gold stars for existing. You get to a class or a job or a project where everyone is actually competent. Suddenly, you are not automatically the best anymore. You open a textbook and nothing makes sense on the first read. You start something creative and it comes out mediocre. You try to learn a new skill and your brain goes, "This feels hard. Therefore, I must secretly be stupid. Therefore, I will simply stop." You do not think, "Wow, this is a new level and my brain just needs practice." You think, if I were truly talented, I would not be struggling. So you avoid. You procrastinate for heroic amounts of time. You wait for the perfect moment, the perfect version, the perfect burst of motivation that will let you complete things in one impressive sprint without ever being seen in the messy middle. You tell people, "I work best under pressure." What you mean is, I only let myself try when there is not enough time left to test whether I could have done better. Because if you start early and actually try and still do badly, you have to face the possibility that you are not special. And that feels more terrifying than any deadline. So you keep your potential in a glass case. Untouched, perfect, imaginary. You identify as a procrastinator, a perfectionist, a disaster. You joke about your trauma in group chats. You call yourself lazy and unmotivated and chronically online. But deep down, there is this quieter fear. What if I am just ordinary? What if all that praise was a mistake and I have already peaked at age 12 and now I am just slowly disappointing everyone who ever believed in me, including myself? Fun. Here is the thing no one tells you when you are the kid who learns quickly. If you never had to try, you never learned how to try. You did not have to build discipline. You did not have to practice failing in low-stakes ways. You never had to sit with that horrible burning feeling of not getting it yet and still coming back tomorrow. So now when adult life gives you tasks that actually require that skill, your nervous system short-circuits. Your brain reads ordinary challenge as personal failure. A normal learning curve feels like proof that you were a fake all along. You think you are broken, but really you are undertrained. You are like a sprinter who was praised for being fast on flat ground and then thrown into a mountain trail with no preparation and told just run like you always do. And when you trip on the first rock, you decide you are not a runner anymore. Let us talk about the gifted kid hangover in daily life. You pick career paths, not because you like them, but because they sound impressive enough to match the myth of who you were supposed to become. You do not apply for things you might actually want because there is a chance you will be rejected. And then your internal gifted kid statue will crack. You stay in jobs where you are slightly miserable, but competent because trying something new would mean starting at beginner level, and your ego is allergic to that. You fantasize constantly about doing huge, amazing things, writing books, making art, starting businesses, switching fields, moving cities. In your head, you are already giving an interview about the journey. In reality, you are on your bed, refreshing the same 3 apps and feeling your life quietly shrink. Here is the part that hurts. You would rather hate yourself for being inactive than risk finding out you are not that special. Because self-loathing is familiar. Being average is unknown. But here's the twist. You were never valuable because you were ahead. You were never lovable because you finished the worksheet first. You are not worthy because you hit some imaginary timeline of success faster than your classmates. You are worthy because you are a whole human who thinks and feels and tries. The gifted label was just one temporary costume someone gave you before they handed you real-world problems and vanished. The problem is, the costume never came with instructions for how to take it off. So you keep dragging it around like a heavy cape, pretending it still fits while secretly resenting it. Your old identity says you must always impress. Your actual life just needs you to participate. So what do you do with this mess? Besides making sad, funny memes about burnt-out gifted kids and calling it healing. First, you stop calling yourself lazy like it is your entire personality. Yes, you procrastinate. Yes, you freeze. Yes, you scroll until your eyes fall out. But underneath that, there is fear. Fear of failing. Fear of being seen trying. Fear of becoming just another regular person doing regular things at a regular pace. You are not lazy. You are terrified. There is a difference. Second, you stop worshiping ease. Somewhere along the line, you decided that the goal is to find the thing that feels effortless again. The subject, the job, the talent, where you just glide. Anything that requires repeated attempts feels like a sign it is not meant for you. But effort is not an insult. Effort is not proof that you are not gifted. Effort is how even the scariest geniuses you admire actually live. The idea that everything that matters should feel natural is one of the most destructive lies the gifted kid pipeline gave you, because the moment something feels heavy, you assume it is not yours. What if heaviness is just the weight of growth? Third, you give yourself permission to be terrible. Not forever, just at the beginning. The former gifted kid part of your brain believes that your worth is tied to how quickly you become good. So you avoid anything that could expose you in the awkward stages. The antidote is disgustingly simple and horrifically uncomfortable. Pick something small and let yourself be bad at it on purpose. Write a page that you know is not your best and still keep it. Try a hobby where no one is watching. Ask a silly question in a meeting and survive the flush of embarrassment without quitting the job in your head. Your nervous system needs proof that being average, or even below average, at something does not kill you. That you can feel that sting and still exist. Still be loved. Still be interesting. Still be you. Fourth, you separate identity from performance. When a task goes well, gifted kid brain says, I am smart. When a task goes badly, gifted kid brain says, I am a fraud. Either way, your entire sense of self rises and falls with your latest output. Try saying this instead, I did that well, or I did that badly. Not I am good, not I am bad, just the work, just the attempt. You are the person who tries. The results are weather. Fifth, you allow a boring version of greatness. You do not have to save the world before breakfast. You do not have to be a prodigy. You do not have to be a legend. You are allowed to be the person who slowly becomes solid at a few things, is kind to people, builds a life that is a little bigger and a little kinder than the one you grew up in. There is a quieter kind of brilliance in showing up repeatedly despite the voice in your head that keeps screaming you are nothing if you are not extraordinary. And that voice is loud. It sounds like every teacher who said you were destined for big things. It sounds like every relative who bragged about you. It sounds like your younger self who truly believed adulthood would be a highlight reel of victories. You do not have to fight that voice with perfect confidence. You just have to be slightly more stubborn than it. You just have to do the email anyway. Here is the comforting and annoying truth. You will probably always have a tiny former gifted kid sitting in the back of your brain with a clipboard, judging your pace and comparing you to imaginary timelines. You do not have to shut them up completely. You can roll your eyes at them, hand them a juice box, and tell them they can watch, but they no longer get to drive. Your life is not a gifted program anymore. There is no secret panel of adults giving you a grade at the end of the semester. There is only this day, this body, this brain that sometimes moves fast and sometimes stalls. This version of you who is allowed to learn things late and slowly and imperfectly and still matter. So if any of this made you feel personally victimized in a strangely comforting way, congratulations. You are probably a retired child genius who has been running on vibes and fear for years. This is Simply Chaos, the channel for people who are broke, tired, mildly unwell, and still carrying a participation trophy from childhood like it is a personality type. If your brain glitched a little while listening, if you saw your entire school career flash before your eyes, you already know what I'm about to say. Go to the comments and confess your most unhinged former gifted kid moment, the time you would rather fail a class than risk getting a grade that proves you are not perfect. The project you have been planning in your head for ages, but never start because then it would be real. And if you want more gently savage reality checks about modern life, identity, and why you are probably doing better than your inner gifted kid inspector thinks, stay in this chaos corner with us. You are not lazy. You are not over. You are not a failed genius. You are a tired human learning how to live without a constant gold star. We might as well figure it out together.